Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Ultimate Comics Podcast. My name is Nabeel Gaber, and I'm one of your hosts.
And I'm Josh Kang, the other host.
And this is the podcast where we talk about Ultimate Marvel, an imprint of Marvel Comics that began in the year 2000 that was intended to modernize and reimagine Marvel and its characters for the 21st century. So every week, every episode, Josh and I have been talking about the original Ultimate Marvel comics. So, for example, Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Fantastic Four, the Ultimates, and everything in between. So this week, Josh and I are back to Ultimate X-Men. Finally, it's been so long since we've talked about X-Men. I didn't even realize until I went back to it. I was like, it's been a minute. It's been a hot second since we talked about X-Men. So this should be very fun.
I believe the last storyline was when the Rogue one, where Rogue, Gambit, Wolverine, and Aurora. Sorry, it's been a long day at work. Oh, I should have. Honestly, if this was me and I was a bit more clear-headed, I would have doubled down. But Storm ran off. Yeah.
Yes, Aurora Monroe, not Oreo Monroe.
Yeah.
That'll get you into trouble. Yes, it was when they all left the last time in Ultimate X-Men. Rogue ran away with Gambit. Wolverine became sad and despondent about his state as like a more animalistic wild man, so he left the X-Men again, and Storm followed him. Yes, he has been a horn dog, as we've read in this series. But yeah, Josh and I are diving back into Ultimate X-Men, doing our usual thing, talking about Ultimate Marvel Comics, what we like, what we might not like so much, what's aged well, what hasn't aged so well, and the impact this has had on Marvel, not only in comics, but in other media. So TV, movies, animation, you name it. Josh, what do you think of these issues? We're talking about issues 54 through 57.
I like them. I didn't think they were super ambitious. I think one of the failures, not that it's actually too big of a failure, I think, but we could go more on that later, is I feel Ultimate X-Men try to be big and bold and try to change too much things in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And I know you kind of disagree with me on there a bit, but I feel like there's nothing wrong with it being bland and fun and just going back to the basics. And I feel this one did.
Yeah, I think Ultimate X-Men has been one of the wilder rides we've taken, because I do agree with you, Josh. I think in general, Ultimate X-Men, they have taken some pretty bold risks and some big swings. But I think for the most part, it stayed fairly accurate, if not just like an exaggerated version of the main universe version of X-Men. So you have like the same basic team lineup, you have the same basic concept of Xavier's school and the X-Men being the heroes that protect a world that hates and fears them, and also just the general mutant metaphor and the villains they have. But there have been a great deal of significant changes to the story. I think this kind of continues that trend, though, where it's like, for the most part, this is all very similar to what we've seen in X-Men comics and the original stuff in the mainline Marvel universe. But at the same time, I think they do change up a lot of it. And bless you.
Thank you.
This batch of issues, it is very much made, I think, for the 21st century in this arc in particular. It's done in a way where like the fundamental concept is still intact, but it in a way that makes sense for the modern world, especially in the 2000s. I think around 2005, 2006 when this was first published.
I actually did get the sense, because I read X-Men comics from that era. This was very similar in vibes to that era.
Yeah, to like the 2000s.
Yeah, the San Francisco era, right?
Oh yeah, I think this was before that in the mainline universe when the X-Men moved to San Francisco. Mm-hmm. This was probably at this point in time in the main X-Men comics, they were probably just going through House of M and then the decimation when most of the mutant population on Earth was depowered, and the whole extinction era. Desperate times for the X-Men. Yeah, for sure.
I believe I really like the extinction storyline, just because I believe the background of it is that Marvel just felt they had too many mutants.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think that was something that was pushed by the editor-in-chief at the time, Joe Quesada, and he was like, there's too many mutant characters. You can't like keep creating more mutant characters, can't keep track of all these, so they tried to simplify it. I enjoyed the decimation era mainly just because I grew up with it and the stakes were very high and it felt very intense and like everything was important because they only had so many mutants. So it felt like, a very high stakes, very like gripping storyline. But I'm glad that it ended at the same time. I'm like, give them a break. Can we have more mutants? Like, I don't think that's going to be too much to ask for, because the decimation era, the whole idea also kind of creates a problem with the minority metaphor for mutants, where I'm like, okay, there's like less than 200 of you now. Like, how is that a minority group at this point? There's billions of people on the planet Earth. Mutants should be more commonplace than just like 200 people.
I will say, like, I also like that arc because that is the era I grew up with. I will say the Marvel. I believe that this is like a weird thing. I think Marvel actually does not know how many mutants characters they've made over the years. It's kind of
Yeah.
like the Catholic Church, because we were just talking about, and popes, where they actually don't have a firm count.
Yeah. No, I mean that makes sense. They, especially in the 90s, when the X-Men had like hit their peak popularity, so many mutants created. I would
Yeah,
find it like difficult to keep track of all of them. But
yeah.
now, since the decimation era has like long since ended and a lot of the mutants have been repowered and come back, more and more mutants are being created and introduced in the comics. So take that,
Yeah.
Joe Quesada, is all I have to say.
Uh huh.
But why don't we actually start talking about Ultimate X-Men now? The issues we're talking about, 54 through 57. It's the 4-part storyline called The Most Dangerous Game. And let's just dive right into it, because the story begins with a guy in the woods hunting down, seems like, another mutant. He's chasing this guy through the woods with a rifle. And this is actually the first appearance of Longshot, who, for anyone who knows the mainline comics, Longshot has for decades been semi-popular, I would say, character in the X-Men franchise. And the guy's chasing down Longshot through the forest, and there's a guy who's like speaking through the intercom in this hunter's ear.
Yeah.
And the mutant, who we will later learn is Longshot, takes out a few razor blades and throws them at the guy, cuts him on the cheek and everything. The
Yeah.
guy's like, "Oh, I thought he said he wasn't going to have any weapons." And the guy, like, over the intercom is like, "Yeah, he must have, snuck some of them, like, during the whole makeup session earlier." So
And I'm
hinting
like,
that
it's a
this,
show, or
yeah,
it's
this is a
fictional.
yeah, I mean, as far as we know, this is definitely a show, so this is being filmed and broadcast for a live audience.
The title of this story arc at first is called The Most Dangerous Game, which is a reference to a book about a
Oh
man
yeah.
hunting other men.
Yes. So
Yeah.
it's very, very fitting as a title.
Yeah. Very cool.
It's pretty cool, yeah. The guy hunting Longshot has a rifle on him, and Longshot's like apologizing because the guy's like accusing him. He's like, "You shouldn't have killed."
I believe we get the name. It's Lord Shell or
Yeah.
whatever.
So Longshot has been accused of murdering Lord Shell, who we'll find out about later. And Longshot's like,
Yeah.
"I didn't do it," but he's also like, "I'm sorry." And the guy's like, "What are you sorry for?" And then the hunter with the rifle gets struck by lightning. So good stroke of luck for
Yeah.
Longshot. Wink, wink.
Wait. Aha. Also, I don't know if this is just like a side thing or reference. He's called Nimrod. Nimrod is like the giant robot that hunts X-Men in the comics, I believe.
I don't think that was a reference. I'll be real. I was reading this earlier, and I think the guy over like the comms was just calling him a Nimrod, as you do. It's like a pretty common insult.
Yeah. It's. Did you know it's an insult because I was gonna say because of X-Men, but no, it's because of Bugs Bunny.
Oh yeah. Thanks,
Yeah.
Bugs.
Yeah. Nimrod actually just means great hunter or whatever.
I love it when Looney Tunes makes it into just the popular cultural vernacular there.
I love it when like anything like small just becomes big.
Yeah.
Like the scene in Transformers where he goes like, "Oh, Freddy Krueger was in this room." And goes, "No, that's 3 Cause. That's Wolverine." Meow. Do you remember that
I
scene?
remember that, yeah. And
Yeah.
was it Anthony Anderson who says that?
Yep. The guy from Black. Shh.
Exactly. Love that show.
Oh, the great
But
show.
yeah, then it's revealed over the intercoms, the guy who's talking over comms is Mojo. His full name he's given is Mojo Adams, which is really funny because I think that is a reference to Arthur Adams, the artist who co-created Longshot and Mojo, who are like really big characters in this arc, but also just pretty big characters in the X-Men lore as it is.
He's also just a human in this version.
Yeah, he's just a guy in a suit. They say he's like an albino. He's not like a mutant or any other powered being. He's just a regular human. He's like a TV executive pretty much.
Dude,
And he's like hosting this reality show about hunting mutants, which is why we have that whole opening scene about Longshot being hunted.
I do love how they're like, "Oh, you sure it's not a mutant?" Professor X later will go like, "No, he's just albino," which is a mutation, but it's not us, but it's basically
Yeah.
us to some people.
He's technically a mutant, yeah, by that, but at the same time, yeah, like doesn't have any powers.
And at the freak show, there's like mutants and just like people who have like extra thumbs, and he goes like, "Look, who's a mutant and who just has an extra gene or like a
Yeah.
damaged gene?" Or it's like at a certain point, it's like maybe we're all just mutants.
Yeah, really. And
Yeah,
that kind of serves the mutant metaphor and the whole idea of coexistence. Like, hey, we're not as different as we all think.
yeah.
We all branch off of the same tree. So maybe you shouldn't other mutant kind as its own separate species.
I will say, like at a certain point, if you're like, there's some lame mutant powers out there. Like, what if you meet a guy who goes like, "Yeah, my mutant gene is like I could like write with two different things on both hands," and I'm like, there's some people who could just do that naturally,
Yeah,
but
exactly. That's literally like, yeah, people who are left-handed or people who are ambidextrous or
yeah.
things like that too.
Or you meet a mutant, he goes, "I have like I have a forked tongue like a snake," and I'm like, there's some people like that, you know?
Yeah, in the real life, there are
Yeah.
plenty of people like that. They'll make it into, world record books or like Ripley's Believe It or Not or
Uh,
things like that.
You know, one of the most common human, like real life mutant traits of a human is extra nipples.
Of course, you'd know that.
Yes, but you might have some. If you have like a mole, it actually might just be an underdeveloped extra nipple.
Well, PSA, everyone. If you feel a strange bump that feels like a mole, check yourself in the mirror tonight for an extra nipple.
Or cancer.
Okay, yeah, that too. Probably more seriously and urgently. Please get checked for that.
Skarsgård brothers, you know, Eric from True Blood, the sergeant from that Marine show, the clown from Derry and It. They all that family has like 5 or 6 nipples. They said it in interviews. They all have 5 or 6 extra nipples, and then like when they're doing nude scenes, they edit them out sometimes.
The more you know, kids.
Yeah,
Anyways, back to the story. Then we cut back to the X Mansion in Kitty Pryde's room, and she's showing Scott and Jean, Cyclops and Jean Grey, the footage because this whole hunt of Longshot by this hunter is a reality TV show that is being broadcast worldwide. And Kitty's like, "Hey, are you guys seeing this? This is concerning. What is going on here?"
she also reveals she hacked into it, which I believe is a 616 Kitty Pride skill that I guess Ultimate Kitty Pride just could do because she's just
Yeah.
like we don't know how she learned. She could just do.
Yeah, I think Kitty Pryde, just by nature of being youthful and like one of the youngest members of the team, has good computer skills ever since the Chris Claremont X-Men run. She's always had good computer skills and knowledge. Just because she's always been pretty smart too, yeah.
She knows how to use the TikToks.
Yeah, yeah. If she was created in 2025, yeah, she would know exactly how to use TikTok. She would be an influencer, yeah.
Follow us on TikTok, guys.
Yeah, by the way, follow us on TikTok and Ultimate Comics Podcast and Instagram and YouTube, all at Ultimate Comics Podcast.
She also has all these posters of Spider-Man, and I'm kind of like, isn't the whole thing with Spider-Man and the Daily Bugle that they have difficulty getting pictures of him, but she has just a bunch of Spider-Man posters in her room?
It's so funny. I love that she just has these. It's a fun little nod to like how head over heels she is about Spider-Man in Ultimate. You look at like her desktop background and it's literally a cover from Ultimate Spider-Man where he's standing around with the Ultimates. It's so funny. I'm like, oh man, she's down bad. They're talking about like reality TV shows and Jean's like, yeah, this could just be like a ruse. This could just be made up. And Kitty's like, yeah, well, what about that Craven the Hunter guy? Remember my boyfriend stopped him. Jean's like, your boyfriend? Like, what? You're calling him your boyfriend now?
You guys met once.
Yeah, literally. And all of a sudden now you're dating.
Well, I do know people who are unfortunately like that. I will say that.
Yeah, just a little obsessive and a little speaking prematurely about their relationship
Well,
status with people.
speaking prematurely, like, but no, but like you know it too. Like, what's that movie, Indiana Jones, where like Willie goes like, "Yeah, when I'm queen," I'm like, "Dude, you just met this 13-year-old king.
Yeah.
Don't say you're the queen."
Yeah,
But
let's
also,
not get ahead of ourselves here.
But also, like, I wonder what the appeal of Spider-Man is to someone like Kitty Pryde, because I'm like, as far as she knows, he's a dangerous vigilante.
That's what she's in it for. The danger.
Oh,
He's a mysterious masked man, a mysterious masked adventurer.
masked boy.
Yeah, who's possibly her age. It's like the idea of you're the kid reading Spider-Man and you're like, "Ooh, I could be Spider-Man because he's just like me." Well, on the other side, she's like, "Oh, well, he's my age. He's pretty
She's
similar
more
to me."
correct than what's her face, Felicia.
Yeah, no, it's much more age appropriate than the Black Cat in the Ultimate Universe, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
I think what people really like about Kitty in this one is like just like old Kitty, she's a very much a very dynamic character, and like there's an
Hmm.
ultimate spoilers ahead. She does like basically become a Spider-Man character for like a couple dozen issues.
No, that's true.
Yeah,
And she's written very well in Ultimate Spider-Man when we
yeah.
get to that. That's for sure. And Kitty's also about this reality TV show that Mojo's put on. She's like, "Are we going to tell the professor about this?" And Jean's like, "Oh, yeah, don't worry. I already told him. I telepathically contacted him." So we get into this whole exposition that is really interesting because it's a few like interesting departures, but also similarities to the main universe, 616. So Professor X explains that mutants are being hunted for sport on the island of Krakoa, which will definitely ring a very large bell if you know anything about the main X-Men comics. Like, first of all, this is in the main comics, it is literally like a living mutant island that was introduced way back in Giant Size X-Men back in 1975. And that was like the first mission that the all new, all different X-Men went on, was to save the original X-Men from this island that they found out was a living mutant island. And then in more recent years became the home and the island nation for mutant kind. So that's a big deal. In this version, it's just an island. It's not
Yeah.
a mutant living island. It's just an island where mutants are being hunted. But they also mentioned that Genosha is an island where mutants have been outlawed, which is funny because in the mainline comics for years, after a while, I mean, Genosha became an island that was like a safe haven and another home for mutants.
Ruled by Magneto.
Though, yeah, Magneto did lead Genosha for a while. I mean, originally it was secretly being used for slave labor for mutants, which was not
Mm-hmm.
great. But yeah, so there's all sorts of differences there, but also similarities because, yeah, now Genosha is an island that has outlawed mutants. Angel even mentions that, like, his dad does business with them, which is not great for
Well,
Angel
look,
being a mutant.
does like if his dad's doing business with him, it doesn't mean that his dad agrees with that. It could just mean people there need water and diapers and baby formula too. We don't know what his dad does for business.
You're really trying to defend his dad for, like, he knows mutants are outlawed in Genosha though, and
Okay,
he's like
we
doing
don't
business.
know
His
what it's
son's a
selling.
mutant.
But what if he's selling like baby formula
Oh my gosh.
or like something harmless like television?
Listen, we know already that like Angel's parents are not a fan of his and just wanted to like sell him off to Xavier anyways, so like it's not great. Like
Uh,
it's rip.
I believe Genosha is also like in the middle of the Indian Ocean, like near Madagascar, generally in comics.
Yeah, that's what they say. It's in
Yeah,
south of Madagascar or something. Yeah.
so it's like the Seychelles in real life, where like it's this British colony in the middle of the Indian Ocean, ruled by people who are still called Lord and Sir.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of mutants in Genosha that are still there, but they're in hiding. And one of those mutants was Longshot, but his full name here in this version is Arthur Centino. And I think that's really funny because Arthur, also because his co-creator Arthur Adams, it's a really nice homage, giving like his full name, splitting it up between Mojo and Longshot.
Yeah.
But Arthur Centino Longshot, he was found guilty of assassinating a Genosian politician, Lord Joseph Shield. And so then he was sent to Krakoa, where he was hunted for sport on live television. And the idea was made by Mojo Adams. And he came up with this idea for this show to punish mutants that Genosians just found acceptable. And this has been going on for like 3 months at
Well,
this point.
we found it acceptable because this was like written in the 2000s. Reality TV was a big thing,
Yeah.
and there were stupid shows like "Are You a Felon?" Question mark, which
Yeah.
everyone agrees is like people know about. It, kind of goes, yeah, that was kind of effed up.
Yeah.
That was not
No,
cool.
this is definitely during like the golden age and like the blossoming of reality TV in
Yeah,
pop culture. So it
yeah,
was a very timely story in like
yeah.
2005. So many shows were going on. Some more
Desperate
harmless ones,
Housewives.
like Desperate Housewives is not a reality TV show.
Oh, how about Jersey Shore?
Jersey Shore, yeah, Jersey
Yeah,
Shore. You have like game shows like The Amazing Race or like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and then there's like American Idol, and
those are mostly okay. Those
yeah,
ones.
Yeah,
But
and then you see the rise of shows like The Bachelor or The Bachelorette and like a bunch of other reality TV shows like Real Housewives is a big thing. I think that might have been what you were thinking of instead of Desperate
oh yeah,
Housewives.
yeah.
The Real Housewives.
I didn't watch that crap. I will
Yeah,
say this: I think in the 2004s there were shows like "Are You a Felon?" or "Can You Escape the Sheriff?" and "Cops." Those
Cops,
are
yeah.
yeah, those are all everyone kind of agrees like are like kind of like messed up now. I will say,
Yeah,
and I think this is
making a
based off that.
reality show out of cops like arresting people
Yeah,
on TV, that is pretty messed up.
the worst one. Have you seen "Are You a Felon?"
No, I haven't seen it.
They just grab people from jail and go like, "You haven't been tried yet. We're gonna list your crimes, and you're gonna guess if you're a felon or not. And if you lose, you get sent back to jail."
Jesus.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
everyone.
messed up.
It's so messed up. Like there
That's
are
a perverse form of entertainment, yeah.
the sheriff went to jail. The sheriff who organized that show,
Damn.
and then
Yeah.
Donald Trump pardoned him. So
Oh, of course. Yeah, speaking of The Apprentice, yikes.
oh, well, The Apprentice isn't actually bad. Like because it's based off a British version that's a little better, and they were originally
Yeah.
gonna rotate the guy in charge, but they just never did.
Well, anyways, bottom line, this is during the height of like the reality TV craze and like the blossoming of all these reality TV shows. So Mojo is the head of that. And this is very different from the main universe where Mojo World and the Mojoverse is a totally different dimension. And Mojo is one of these spineless beings, literally, like he's spineless and he's got these mechanical spider legs that he walks around on.
Very sci-fi
Yeah,
trope at the
it's
time.
very sci-fi. It's very out there, and it's this whole different dimension where reality TV and all these different programs rule, and everyone is a slave pretty much for Mojo's entertainment. And in that version, Longshot is the star, the main attraction, really. And it's a real commentary just on like pop culture and media and also like the comic book industry too and editorial demands and things like that. So
It was a really common sci-fi trope from the 80s to the 2000s. Like Doctor Who did it. A couple sci-fi writers did stuff where like a world just run by reality TV. It was a real fear back then. And then like we all figured out it's all scripted anyway, so we kind of I think we stopped caring. But
yeah,
yeah,
because when it comes to reality TV, I'm like, a lot of this is probably scripted and overly produced and like
yeah.
caters to like what the producers think viewers want
I
and to like
pers-
heighten drama.
I personally don't think reality TV made a big impact on culture. Like yeah, we know the Jersey Shore, we know that. Like, I kind of feel it dropped off at a certain point. I think the only real big thing reality TV did was like we got a president out of it. I think other than that, we don't really.
For that, we should go back in time and erase it from history.
Yeah,
Just like, yeah,
but I think other than that one really big thing,
really bad thing. Yeah,
really big
too.
and bad thing, like reality TV has not had the impact that everyone was afraid of. Like,
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, we could get into it, but
yeah,
back
that's
into the
like
story though, Professor X is like, all right, well, the thing is, I want to send like the most human passing of the mutants to Genosha on a fact finding mission. We want to like investigate this assassination of Lord Shield, and we
yeah,
want to try and prove Longshot's innocence, is the whole thing, because they're
yeah.
assuming that he is innocent and he didn't do that because very much looks like he was framed.
Yeah, but he says we can't interfere in other people's politics, especially now they're involved with the U.S. government. So we're only
Yeah.
going to send the most human people, which is Iceman, Jean, Cyclops, Kitty, and Dazzler goes like, I don't count as human.
It's like, Dazzler, you're like a punk rock star. Like, you would attract a lot of attention. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But that is really funny.
But Iceman wants to switch because he goes like, I think that guy should be hunted on live TV. He killed a guy.
Yeah.
And they're all like, we don't know.
Yeah, Iceman's very quick to like judge this guy guilty before innocent. He's like, yeah, whatever. He probably did it. Like, I don't care.
But
Like, why should we try and save this guy?
either Jean or Kitty points out, look, we don't know if he did it. And if he did do it, you don't deserve to be like hunted on TV. That's
Yeah.
messed up. That's what happens
Yeah.
in Arizona, not in the rest
Yeah.
of the civilized world.
Yeah, no, totally. He should be tried and face justice if he did do it, but he should not be like hunted for sport for people's entertainment. Like, that's messed up. And Colossus, though, he's really pissed off because he wanted to go and bust out Longshot from this prison. He's basically like, the time we waste investigating means like he could be killed at any moment and we'll be
Yeah.
doing nothing. And he has a huge outburst about it. And Professor X basically is like, sit down, son. And he's like, if that's the way you feel, and if you're gonna like have this attitude, like, you're staying home.
And Jean goes, Charles, and Professor X just goes, "No, call me Professor."
Yeah, he's very much like asserting his authority here. He's being very authoritarian in
Establishing
this
his
one,
dominance.
as one might say, as
Yeah.
Josh might say.
I got that from you, I think.
I swear, you've been going on about dominant and personalities since like almost day one of this podcast.
I think I've been. Was it during college as well, or no?
I don't remember it during college. I just remember talking about Ultimate Spider-Man with you, and you
Okay,
immediately
but
started
I
going
think
to
today
dominant personalities.
I set up a clear definition of what that means today over text.
And we'll get into that as we keep going.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
yeah, Professor X shuts everyone down and is like, he has a line where he's like, take whatever luggage you think you'll need, but leave your baggage behind. And I'm like,
yeah.
damn, that's such a sassy quote from Professor X.
It's a
I'm
good
like,
line. If I
wow.
ever become like a teacher or like a coach, I'm gonna use it.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, ooh, man, that's
Yeah.
like it's laying down the hammer. Okay, Professor.
Leave your baggage behind when you get into the game, son.
Yeah. I'm like, all right. And
There's no
so,
I in team.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Longshot beats the crap out of a bunch of cameramen, which I think is a jerk move. These guys are harmless. They're in it for the money. They're not really
I
like.
mean, they're getting blood money, though. I mean, they're getting paid
We're
a
all
shit ton
getting
of
blood
money.
money. We're all getting blood money. You're a barista. You think that coffee doesn't come with pain from like Ethiopia or a South American country? You don't think they're slaves to make coffee or the beans?
I'm sure that that might have factor in. I might just
Exactly.
be blissfully ignorant. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, but these cameramen literally know exactly what they're doing. They see the direct result of them filming a guy being hunted for sport on TV.
They're not bad people. They're just the working Joe. They're not Mojo. They're just working Joe. They're not Mojo.
Yeah.
They're working Joe. I got it down.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
know
did that by
exactly what your
accident.
stance would be on Nazi troops during World War II.
That's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally different.
Explain how.
These guys don't have guns. The Nazis did have guns.
Wow. Okay. All it takes is guns. They're literally just standing by and actually filming as this guy is being hunted to the death.
Yeah, that's what film crews do when they hunt down like cheetahs and stuff.
Yeah. Well, one of these guys did work for National Geographic, so.
Oh yeah, he does mention that. He goes like, "I used to track animals for Nat Geo."
Yeah, and it was easier than hunting this guy. And yeah, Longshot just beats them up and he's like, yeah, you're next. And Mojo is eating this up. He's like, this is good shit. But Major Domo, his right hand man, is literally like, hey, we should probably wrap this up. Like an audience is gonna want a
Major Domo
resolution.
means like the right hand man.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant like you thought his name was Major Domo.
No, he's Major Domo. That's just what he calls him.
Yeah, because he's the Major Domo of that guy.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
one word.
So
it's a
his
position.
Major Domo. Anyways, may I continue?
Fine, you can.
Major Domo is like, yeah, we should wrap this up. And also, like, the friends and family of Lord Shield probably want to see justice for his killers. So, out of respect, and Mojo's like, okay, let's send in the big guns, which we'll find out the next issue what those are. And then we get to the airport as Cyclops, Jean, Iceman, and Kitty are getting ready to go to Genosha. And Cyclops is a little uncomfortable with this whole thing because, like, he's worried about being spotted while they do undercover work.
Because they are semi-famous.
Yeah. No, they are. And Jean, fortunately, is like, hey, telepathically, I'm sending out a suggestion to everyone, making us look like normal NYU students.
I don't know why NYU keeps getting brought up in all these issues of X-Men. Just saying.
Because they're in New York, man.
There's other schools there. Bigger schools. More famous schools.
They're very artsy kids, too, so.
I never saw any of them draw art.
Colossus.
Oh, I forget. Okay. I will also say maybe the other one is that all the writers and artists I found that went to NYU. Which
Probably.
is really, yeah.
And then Jean says something funny because Cyclops is like, we could have just taken the Blackbird or whatever. And she's like, oh, well, that doesn't have like the private restrooms that the airplane does.
Yeah.
And Cyclops is like, oh.
Because she's a horn dog.
Yeah, I was like, that's so horny. For once, yeah, I immediately thought like Josh when I read this panel and I was like, horn dog. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm glad you agree with me. They're gonna do the Mile High Club.
I'm like, okay, I don't need to hear about this.
Yeah.
This is a little bit too much for me, for my sensibilities. Maybe I'm a prude.
No, you're right. Horn dog, as we said earlier, is like the root of all societal problems.
I did not say that. You said that.
But I was quoting someone else.
Yeah. But
Uh,
that's your own personal agenda. I'm just saying in this instance that was too much for me.
well, it's also because it's like the roles are flipped. Jean is a more masculine and dominant personality in the relationship. She's the one who initiates all this horn dogginess between her and Cyclops.
Yeah, well, Cyclops is just very repressed as a character too, and just very like guarded and very much controlled kind of person. I
Yeah,
think Jean feels a little more comfortable letting loose and letting go every now and then.
and push him, bossing him around and
Well, I don't know about that.
initiating the horn dogginess.
Well,
Also,
that for sure, yeah.
when they're talking, they're like staring at each other, and it's funny because the other characters know this, and they go like, "Oh, they're mind banging, they're mind horn
Yeah.
dogging."
Kitty's like,
Disgusting.
"Oh my gosh, that's nasty." She's just like me. She's like, "All right." She's like, "Scott's walking funny and everything, like something's
Yeah,
going on."
yeah.
And Iceman is still just being a dick to Kitty, not really acknowledging or responding to her because he blames her for like Rogue running off. But Kitty's like, "Hey, we don't have to be friends, though. At least show me some like respect and basic human decency."
Yeah.
And he's still not doing that.
He's also dressed really douchey. He has like frosted tips. His hat's like backwards. He has like a
Yeah.
basketball jersey. Super
Yeah,
2000s.
Iceman's pretty douchey in this arc. I'm like, you need to get over yourself, man.
He looks like who's that guy who's saying Ice Ice Baby?
Vanilla Ice.
He looks like Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, like easy one. She even points that out in this storyline too. Kitty points that out,
Oh
which
my
is really
gosh,
funny.
I
Yeah.
forgot you're right. Yeah,
Maybe just because of the ice pun, because he's white and he's literally like Iceman. So there's
yeah.
also that.
Back at the mansion, the crew are still training.
Yes, Angel, Nightcrawler, and Colossus are all training in the danger room, and Colossus is just like restless and cranky because he feels like they should be doing something to save Longshot. And so then Dazzler shows up, like, the classic bad girl she is. She's like got her arms folded, leaning up against like the doorway, just being like, "Hey, what's up, guys? Why don't you start doing something about this?" She's like starting trouble. She's like, "Yeah, when the professor goes to bed, we can just hotwire the Blackbird. We can make a little trip to Krakoa." And it's so funny because also then she's like, "That's your call, Colossus." And Colossus is like, "This is all the opportunity I've needed. Let's do this." Like,
and then
he's
she
like,
goes,
"Yes."
"Bad boys make me hot." Another horn. So many characters are just horn doggy these
Yeah,
issues.
Dazzler makes sense. I mean, I
What do
feel
you
like,
mean?
and also, I think she's talking about Longshot when she says that, and I think it's a really fun nod to, in the main comics, her relationship with Longshot,
Oh
the
my
two of
gosh,
them.
I forgot about. They even have a kid together. I think.
Yeah, Shatterstar is their kid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
So,
then Marvel kind of forgot that he was her kid for a bit.
I mean, they literally made the characters forget. They like mind wipe Longshot and Dazzler so they forget that they
That's
have a
what.
kid.
That's yeah, because Marvel didn't want to think about it for like a few years until they figured it out.
Yeah, and the more we talk about it, the more confusing and overly complicated that backstory gets. I'm just going to leave it at that. But
Uh,
we start issue 55 with the four of them then stealing the X Jet and flying to Krakoa. And
yeah.
Dazzler's like, "Geez, what can you like raise the ship a little bit?" It turns out Angel, funnily enough, is really bad at flying planes because he's like, "I've only flown in the simulator before."
And that makes sense because he could fly. Why
Yeah.
would you fly if you could already fly?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm sure it's different controlling wings that come out of your body as
Yeah,
opposed to like an actual plane. Dazzler should cut Angel some slack here.
yeah. Colossus and Nightcrawler have like the discussion that like I feel like every Ultimate Marvel character has, which is like, are we like disobeying Professor X, or maybe Professor X like planted this thought in us, which is possible because Professor X in this universe is kind of a dick.
Yeah, I think it's really funny because this is far from the first time that characters have sat around and been like, "Do you think Professor X is like mentally controlling us? Do you think like he mentally suggested that we should go to Krakoa and we're actually following his subtle suggestions?" And Nightcrawler's like, "Yeah, how much further back does it go? Does anything we do, is that all predetermined? Or is that just, are those choices we make? Or are we being," and it's so funny because I'm like, guys, don't think about it, all right? If you think about it, you're never going to be able to stop thinking about it. Like, who knows?
I think even
But
Dazzler points out you guys are being weird.
yeah, Angel's also like, "Yeah, this is such a leap in logic. Like, we're definitely disobeying the professor here. We're going to get in huge trouble for this."
But I'm not sure because it's very possible with this Professor X.
Yeah, who knows? We have no tangible evidence yet, but Then we
Uh,
see Mojo introducing his next assassin on the show, who is Arcade.
in this universe, is a California tech bro.
Yeah, he's literally like a video game developer. Murder World was a first person shooter instead of Arcade in the main universe, who literally designs these elaborate death traps with animatronics and everything that he traps heroes in. So Murder World was literally a big top, like carnival, actual like arcade in the main universe. And in this run, Murder World is literally a first person shooter he created. And Arcade is just an assassin in
Yeah.
this one. With a little, he's got a few tricks up his sleeve, as we'll see. But it's
He
pretty different from the arcade that we see, like the classic version.
he wants revenge on Magneto for killing his sister when he destroyed the Brooklyn Bridge, which is like the thing where like people go like, one minority was a dick to me, so I gotta hate all the minority
Yeah,
people.
he's like,
Yeah,
Magneto's in jail now, so I gotta do something. Like, I gotta get my vengeance somehow.
Magneto doesn't give a crap about Longshot. Just saying, man.
Yeah, like this is really doing nothing. You're just finding an excuse to kill another mutant. And so Mojo is then also like later concerned. He's like, "Man, Longshot's been such a good star. Like what's going to happen once we finally kill him?" And, Major Domo's like, "All right, well, we can find other mutants. Even though the mutant population is dwindling in Genosha, he's like, we'll do a global search for more mutants to hunt down. It'll be fine."
Because there's mutants locked up everywhere. Because they're like a lot of them are criminals and they semi-dangerous.
Yeah, he's like, there's not a short supply. The decimation has not happened in this universe. There's mutants all over the world. Don't worry, you'll find
Yeah.
someone else. It's really funny and kind of sweet of him to reassure him and be like, we'll find someone else for you to hunt for sport on TV.
In Genosha, everyone like they do the commentary about how it's discussing how people love reality TV, but also like Iceman and Kitty fight, and Iceman accuses Kitty of being in love with her, and Jean just goes, "You guys should just bang, get it over
Yeah.
with." Because she's
Yeah.
a horn dog, and she only sees horn dog solutions. If the whole world's a horn dog, you only gotta.
I mean, you can't
I lost
deny
my
there's a
metaphor.
lot of the dynamic between Kitty and Iceman is very rife with sexual tension for
I
sure. It's the classic, like, why don't you guys just hook up already? There's been so much tension of them like fighting back and forth because they're secretly just really into each other.
I I I know that's like a thing because of this universe in like other media. I don't see it. Like there's no like if you see a guy and a girl fight all the time, like and they're not even like super close friends, like you're not gonna go, oh, like they're secretly in love. You go, no, they're fighting because they just can't stand each other.
I
It's such
mean,
a
it depends. Some cases are that messed up where they fight so much because there's a lot of sexual tension that they're pushing down and trying to deny.
I don't know how there's sexual tension is. Maybe I'm bad at detecting sexual tension, so I don't know. I
What
just
about
don't see
them
it.
making out in the carnival during the last arc?
I forgot about that. Let me be honest. Well, like I think that's also like an expression of like they're horny teenagers, but like the fighting might not be an expression of that. Is my hot take.
I don't know. I think it is in this arc, and later on in this arc, it kind of shows it. But yeah, Iceman is still like, of course they're going to be televising this, and of course everyone's going to be rooting for the capture or the murder of Longshot because he allegedly killed this guy. And Kitty's like, yeah, well, my grandparents would like say differently about like rounding people up and killing them because
She's
she's Jewish.
she's a woke ACAB person by our
Yeah,
standards.
like she has relatives that have been through the Holocaust, so she
Yeah.
knows, yeah, the historical precedent that's been set, unfortunately.
We
And this is,
finally
yeah, when they're fighting, she does call him Vanilla Ice. So
yeah.
this is when it happens.
And Jean breaks it up by going, "You guys should just hook up already." Which, well, I don't know. Maybe you're right because Jean detects. If she's saying it psychically, maybe it's because she detected it within their
Probably,
brains.
yeah.
Yeah.
Jean's
And
just
look,
very intuitive, yeah, generally
yeah,
too.
yeah. I guess I will say, even if they're not fighting, I guess hooking up would stop the fighting temporarily.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Even if
like
they
this.
weren't really into each other, it would
Yeah,
at least give them a break.
yeah. I saw it in that cult movie, cult show.
Well, anyways, back on Krakoa, Angel decides to stay on the plane because he's got a real bad feeling about this. And Colossus is like, well, if you don't want to go with us, you don't have to. But if we're not back in an hour, just head back to Xavier's. And he's like, yeah, also, if that happens, I like to be buried next to Hank, which is like, ooh, that's sad. That's
Yeah,
dark. Like, just shows how high the stakes are.
maybe he is gay after all.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be buried next to your friend. I don't think there's anything that like hints about him being into Hank.
I don't want to be buried next to any of my friends.
Really?
Yeah,
You don't have any friends you'd like to be buried next to?
Not really. I like if I was in like a long-term romantic relationship with someone, like yeah, I want to be buried with them, but like I don't know, like you guys get your own burial spot. I wanna be like no, no, I wanna be like the
Get your
pharaoh.
own.
I wanna be like the pharaoh, and you get like a giant triangle over your burial spot that everyone just has to look at for the rest of time.
So you just want a monument.
Hell yeah! Like all the great people have monuments. Washington, Napoleon, those Egyptian kings.
Yeah,
I
represent.
can't. Yeah, I can't think of anyone else.
All right. Well, that just sounds very egotistical. That's all I'll say. Also,
It sounds like someone's jealous.
I don't think you're confident enough in your heterosexuality to be like, yeah, I would like to be buried next to my male friend, because for some reason that's gay.
I don't have a problem with gay people. That big.
What if you are not gay and you want to be buried next to your male friend and you're a
Why
man?
would I want to spend? What difference does it make if I'm buried next to a friend? Are you like mad that I don't want to be buried next to a guy
I'm just
friend?
saying, you healthy male relationships, that doesn't inherently mean they're gay.
I'm okay with healthy male relationships. I just don't want to be buried next to you after I die, like to any of
Well,
my
I don't want to
friends.
be buried next to you either.
I didn't mean you, but okay, sure. I don't want to be buried next to you.
Well, there, we've settled it. I'm fine.
uh, Allison slash Dazzler is also horn dogging this whole time because she keeps calling Peter hot.
Yeah, I mean,
And
because he is, but that's fine.
no, he's not.
Colossus is canonically hot. It doesn't matter which
I
universe.
never. I don't know. As a straight guy, maybe I'm not the best judge. I never found Colossus as attractive. Kind of looks like
He's a beefy farm boy. What more do you want?
yeah, no, no.
Well, maybe just not your type.
But also Kurt goes like, maybe you're not well because he
Yeah.
recognizes horn dogginess as a problem with her.
That's just like a symptom of Allison's personality, which is very messy and all over the place in Ultimate, which
Yeah.
is meant to be. She's like this messy punk rocker.
But also, we'll say she's a lot more sane than some of these Ultimate characters, so maybe she's not
Yeah.
that messy.
Yeah,
She's
it's
not
all
diddling
relative.
kids like Wolverine.
Yeah, that's true. It is very relative.
Yeah. She's like the most normal of all of them, if anything.
Yeah, normal-ish.
Yeah.
But yeah, the picture gets taken out on the reality TV shows, so Mojo can't see and no one can see what's going on when Longshot's being hunted. And Arcade is informed of this, and he's like, don't worry, I'm prepared for this. And then he doesn't realize that he wasn't prepared because it turns out it's Colossus, Nightcrawler, and Dazzler. They're all sabotaging the cameras for this show. And so there's this big fight.
I love it because Colossus beats the crap out of him, so he like uses high sound to beat Colossus, which only empowers Dazzler more, and he beats her with Spider-Man's webs.
It's really funny. He has a reverse engineered web shooter that he shoots at Dazzler to web her mouth shut and like web her hands to her mouth. And I'm like, damn, all right, we're pulling Spider-Man tricks. All right.
Yeah.
I was not familiar with your game.
They literally say, "Oh, we found this on like a concrete like wall in Manhattan somewhere."
Yeah. And he also then stabs Nightcrawler after Nightcrawler attacks. That looks really bad. But luckily, Longshot finally arrives to save the day. And because of his powers, which he'll explain in a moment, Arcade's gun backfires on him. And Longshot's like, don't worry, I'm really lucky. He's probability manipulation, for those of you who remember our episode with Cameron, where we talked about Black Cat's probability manipulation powers.
Yes, and they have the same complaints as I do.
It's arbitrary. Genosha, then, the X-Men, Cyclops, Jean, Iceman, and Kitty, they're investigating the scene of the crime where allegedly Lord Shield was murdered. And Iceman is still kind of defending him. He's like, oh, well, like, this guy had friends and family. Maybe, like, this Longshot guy gets what he deserves.
Oh my gosh, isn't that the same talk we're having nowadays in real life about a certain person?
Yeah, it's actually aged a little too well, where like, wow, that's actually pretty relevant to today. Unfortunately, a little too relevant to some political figures that have been killed.
I think it's just that, like, I remember when we started, because we started this podcast twice, Ultimate X-Men and Ultimate Avengers was just not a comic that has aged well. And it turned back around and, like, it aged so badly, it turned back around and aged pretty well again within, like, a few months, which is insane. But
no, a lot of these topics, and I think in X-Men comics in general, not just Ultimate, X-Men comics from decades ago, from the 80s, like God Loves, Man Kills, even Chris Claremont has said it's like unfortunately too relevant today. So many of the ideas and so many of the concepts and plot points and metaphors for real life unfortunately are still all too relevant, and just like this one here. The issue ends though with Kitty going like underground to like search for clues, and then they're ambushed. Jean gets hit from behind, knocked out by Spiral. For all those who recognize Spiral from the comics, she's another person in the main universe who's from like the Mojo verse and is another performer slash assassin for Mojo. But in this version, she's pretty different again because Mojo verse and Mojo world is just not a thing in Ultimate.
Before we move on, has a Dazzler been in a movie yet?
Yeah, she cameoed in Dark Phoenix.
Oh, I didn't see Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, you didn't miss much. It's fine.
Because I remember those rumors that like she was gonna be played by T Swizzle, and I guess they never did it.
I swear to God, it's always a big pop figure that they're like, hey, she should play Dazzler. This person.
Because it makes sense.
Yeah, but I'm like, all right, but these aren't actors. Like Taylor Swift, I'm like, okay, it's whoever's big at the moment. Now people have been like, oh, Sabrina Carpenter, she's gonna play Dazzler, and I'm like, really?
Why not? Sabrina Carpenter is an actress.
Like, all right, yeah, Sabrina Carpenter started out on Disney Channel, right? She was an actress, but like, I don't know. We gotta look at all the factors here too. We can't just anytime like there's a trending pop star like, oh, this is gonna be Dazzler. I'm like, all right, chill out, guys.
Yeah, I think Sabrina Carpenter's like way too short to be Dazzler, but
yeah, I think so too. See, these are the factors you got to look at.
Yeah,
not just this person is a trending hot pop star that we've got now.
And like height is to a certain degree an indicator of your internal character.
How so?
You don't trust short people to work as hard. If you had a factory, would you hire a tall guy, a beefy guy like Colossus, or I can't think of another tall person, Abraham Lincoln, or would you hire a shorty
like Wolverine?
Like Wolverine or Peter Dinklage.
I would trust Wolverine to work hard.
Okay, but like the thing with short people is if you make them work hard, it's like they'll try to figure out ways to get around it, use shortcuts, be faster, be more efficient.
Wow, you're really discriminating against short people.
Legally, it is one of the few things you can't discriminate for. Height.
Wow, you're just finding every loophole.
Unless they have dwarfism, in which case it's like different. That's different.
Yeah, so then you would totally be legally discriminating against them.
But if they're like 5'1", 4'10", 4'9", 4'11", they're totally game for you to make fun of and bully.
That's awful, Josh. You shouldn't do that.
It's true. It's true. You could do that. You can't sue him if you do that.
Don't be Josh is the moral of the story.
You can't sue me if I fire you for being short. That's perfectly legal.
Good thing you don't have the power to fire anybody.
I have the power to kill at the moment.
Good thing you're on the other side of the country. Okay, so issue 56 starts with Spiral, who's got Jean unconscious on the ground. She's got a sword to Jean's throat, and she's like, she doesn't outright explicitly say this, but it seems like she's the one who assassinated Lord Shield, and she knows all the X-Men's names.
Because they're celebrities.
Yeah, Scott's like, how do you know who we are? And she's like, you guys are celebrities to the mutant community. Everyone knows the X-Men.
Yeah.
Which is a cool little detail.
She gives a bit of her backstory. She goes, I want to move to Brooklyn with my sister. And I'm like, this is when Brooklyn, I think, was first getting trendy after.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think today she would still go. Yeah, because her sister made it out of Genosha and made it to Brooklyn. So she's like, you guys are messing up my plans to like get out of Genosha. You guys are really messing things up. So like, you guys got to stay out of this.
Yeah. So I can move to Brooklyn.
Yeah, she goes on a whole speech about privilege that the X-Men has and like how they don't understand oppressive government regimes and things like that.
She also makes a good point. Doesn't she also go like, you guys are talking about mutant discrimination? You guys don't look like a freak like me.
Yeah, that's true. Because there are a lot of instances where the X-Men are privileged. I mean, they are living literally in a mansion in Westchester.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are human passing and don't have to worry about things like having 6 arms like Spiral.
Yeah.
So that's fair. So she makes some good points, but she's interrupted because Kitty then arrives and phases Jean out of there. So with Jean to safety, that gives Cyclops and Iceman room to attack.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Mojo is still pissed off because the show is still down, the cameras are down, and they're just playing reruns or whatever. And he's like threatening Major Domo's family, like, I'm gonna broadcast your home address. Yeah. The Major Domo. Like, whatever, man.
It's a position. It's a
What's
job.
His real name then? Give me a name.
I don't know. But you
then
can't
stop correcting me.
You can't say like he threatens baristas or lawyers family. You go like he threatened the barista or the lawyer's family.
It doesn't matter. He doesn't have a name.
He's the Major Domo.
He threatens the Major Domo's family. And then Longshot is meanwhile hitting it off with Colossus and Nightcrawler. They're like being all friendly and chummy. And even Colossus is like, "Oh, I like your boots." He's like, "Oh, yeah, standard issue." And he's explaining his powers.
Dazzler's kind of jealous.
Yeah, because Dazzler is like, "All right, well, who's giving me attention now? You guys are all just talking to each other."
I also think she has like a thing for Colossus, and she's slowly realizing maybe he has a thing for guys or anyone that's
Yeah,
not
she's
made.
getting vibes like, maybe he's not into girls. Huh,
Oh,
interesting.
she has a bad gate. Like, to be fair, most of us have bad gaydar, I feel.
I don't know. There are some people who do have good gaydar.
Okay, I
Anyways,
don't have good gaydar.
anytime it's like most of us, I'm like, I feel like you're generally speaking for yourself.
You know, there are some people in this world I thought were gay, but I don't want to ask because I don't want to seem rude. You know,
If it's relevant, then I'm sure it'll come up. If they're not comfortable sharing, they don't have to share.
but sometimes you find out everyone else knew, but me.
Yeah, well, that's a weird feeling. That's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
But yeah, then Angel is waiting by the plane. He's like, I shouldn't have done this. This is a mistake. And then he's like, "Oh, Nightcrawler, is that you?" But it's a bunch of shadowy creatures in the background that ambush him. So we don't see what happens yet, but he's in trouble. Poor Angel, who didn't even want to go on this trip. And then there's the big fight with Cyclops and Iceman against Spiral, and their maneuver gets messed up because Iceman does the wrong maneuver that Cyclops says. And so Cyclops gets hit in the eyes and his glasses fall off, so he
I,
loses control of his optic blast.
Iceman creates a giant ice fist and grabs Spiral for a bit. And goes like, "I didn't know I could do that." And then Spiral just cuts him in half.
Yeah, it's a really fun moment. That's also why I think Iceman is such an interesting character because he's like got so much potential and like things he could do that he doesn't even know he can do because he is in his own way a lot of the time. He doesn't lock in or pay attention enough. For example, when he makes the giant fist, that's really cool. But then Cyclops is like, "Pay attention," and he doesn't, and then he gets knocked out. And then Kitty phases up into the ground and she gets knocked out, and it looks like they're all in trouble. But then you see like a speech bubble of someone going like, "You forgot about me," and then there's a full splash page of Jean going like full Phoenix mode.
We don't even
It's
know what
crazy.
the Phoenix Force is in this universe yet. We just
Yeah, it's been a slow burn. I gotta say, like this has been since
aha.
like the Mark Millar era. I didn't even know I was doing that. Yeah, slow burn.
Yeah. Like, and also we don't know what it even does. Like, for all we know, it
Yeah.
is just fire powers for Jean.
Yeah, it hasn't been explained yet. The seeds were planted a long time ago, and they're really building the suspense for this. I'm curious to see when they finally like do a deep dive into the Phoenix.
Yeah. Jean uses her powers to make Spiral feel like she's burning alive, but she literally goes like, "You're not burning alive, but I made it so your brain feels like it is."
Yeah, no, totally.
Just
It's
torturing this poor
brutal.
person.
Yeah, it's intense.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, the X-Men are trying to recruit Longshot and like take him back to the mansion in Westchester, but he's like, I don't know. Genosha's messed up and everything, but it's still my home. He's like, I don't know if I want to leave.
And they go like, "Why?" And he goes like,
Yeah.
"It's still my home. It's like it's my country."
Yeah.
And Dazzler goes like, "Kurt and Peter left their countries."
Yeah. But before they can talk about it anymore, a landmine pops up, and luckily with Longshot's probability manipulation powers, his luck basically, he's able to push Dazzler out of the way and save her.
And Kurt asks all these questions about these, what does probability manipulation mean? And he just doesn't have a good answer.
Yeah. I think it's really smart because it's like, yeah, there's not really a good answer for it. How much like it's comics, man.
Yeah.
It's whatever the writer wants it to be. It's luck basically. That's it. He's just really lucky.
Kurt has like this great quote where he goes like, "You know, if you're like really lucky and you survive a shark attack, you should be asking, why was I so unlucky to be in a shark attack?"
Yeah, but Longshot's like, well, things just work out for me. That's it.
Back with Spiral, Jean reveals that like she's also gonna torture her with a sword.
Yeah. And she's like, I'm gonna interrogate her with a few tricks the professor taught me, which is even crazier because I'm like, you guys are freaks. You and Professor X are awful. This is insane.
Yeah. Yeah. This is also when I believe like torture was big on the news because they're like we're gonna torture some people.
Yeah, it was bad. Like, even there was a point where Jean was going full Dark Phoenix and Scott can't see because now he's just got a rag around his eyes because his glasses got broken. And then when he heard Jean's voice as the Phoenix, he's like, this isn't my Jean. Like, I don't know who this is. So now he's scared. So I'm excited to see them pick up the hints that they're putting down, hopefully
Yeah,
later on.
I bet Dark Phoenix Jean is a freak in the sheets.
Yeah, I bet you'd think that, you freak.
No, I'm not a freak.
Uh-huh. You're a perfectly normal boy.
That's right. Back with the non-human looking ones. Dazzler just asks Nightcrawler, like, is Colossus gay? And he goes, like, probably not. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with him. And she was like, well, there isn't nothing wrong. There isn't anything wrong with being gay.
First, she's like, are we sure that we know which team Colossus plays for? And at first, Nightcrawler's like, well, he's on our side. Like, what do you mean? She's like, no, like, preferences? And then he's like, no, he's normal. There's nothing wrong. I was like, yeah, I'm not saying that's anything wrong with that. I want to know. But yeah, these are some of the first major, almost explicit statements that, like, yeah, Colossus, we're pretty sure he's gay in this universe.
I will say that for Nightcrawler's thing, like, is not ahead of like Germany back then is a lot more because like they only legalized like gay marriage in like 2018. So, and Nightcrawler is like very Catholic, very conservative.
Yeah,
so,
I think mainline Nightcrawler would probably be cool with it. This version of Nightcrawler, I'm sure, would probably be less chill with it and seems a little bit more conservative.
If Nightcrawler was real life, he'd probably be made a cardinal by now.
Yeah, that's for sure. Anyways, the issue ends with them arriving where the Blackbird was, but Angel's missing, and Mojo leaves like this video receiver telling them that Angel is with them, and like, they better come get their boy or else, and like give up Longshot if they want to get him. And it ends on this splash page of Angel like pinned to a wall, which very much is reminiscent to me of this cover of Uncanny X-Men 169 back during the Claremont era, where Angel is like pinned up against the wall by his wings, and it's very dark and very like disturbing. And so things are looking pretty dire with one issue left in this story arc. The next issue, issue 57, starts with Dazzler just saying like, hey, we should probably just turn Longshot in. And Longshot's like, yeah, I'm willing to turn myself in because he doesn't want Angel to suffer for him.
Yeah. But why is Dazzler saying that? Is she saying that because she wants Peter to herself? Or because she just thinks it's easier?
I think she honestly is like, well, they were going to kill him anyways. And also, like, we got to make a hard choice because poor Angel, like, didn't even want any part of this. And I was the one to convince him to do this. So she feels guilt over Angel's fate. And she's like, listen, man, like, we got to make a hard choice. But Colossus is like, hey, man, listen, like, we should storm this compound. We should stop him. And it's funny because there are like little hints that like there's something else going on with Longshot, because he does call Angel their brother, and Dazzler's like, their brother? Like, what?
It's a like mutant solidarity thing that they're starting to realize exists in some places.
Yeah, in this part of the world for sure. Colossus asks Nightcrawler if he could teleport them in, if he has a like strength for one last teleport. Kurt's like, listen, with this many people teleporting in blind, because usually he has to see where he's going unless he knows the place really well to teleport in. And he's like, it's 1,000,000 to 1 shot. And Longshot's just like, perfect. Like, thank God they had the guy with the good luck powers with them.
He's an amplifier kind of their powers.
Yeah, no, it's love. It's really cool. It's like, this is the mutant circuit that they're always going on about during the Krakoan era in X-Men. Just like mutants using their powers working together at the same time.
Meanwhile, back with the human-looking ones, the good-looking ones, as they say, Jean is trying to break into Spiral's mind. Spiral goes, you don't want to like go in there. You don't want to like what you see. And we later find out, like, actually it's kind of tame in there, so I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, it's really just a black and white flashback. It's nothing, like, too crazy. I think she was just being dramatic.
It's like when everyone goes, oh, 50 Shades is this super intense movie, and I'm like, it's pretty vanilla, man.
Yeah. Like, you call this kinky?
Yeah.
Man. Meanwhile, Josh is over here kink-shaming everyone for the slightest offense.
Yeah.
For even insinuating that they would like to have sex with someone. Josh is like, whoa. Horn dog.
We got horn dogs. We gotta think of the children. We gotta think of society.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm being the
Unbelievable.
selfless one here. Just saying.
I doubt it. But yeah, Jean is going into Spiral's mind, trying to like find the truth about Lord Shield.
Bobby calls her Octopussy, like the 007 movie.
Yeah, and Kitty thinks that's funny. So now Kitty and Bobby are kind of like, bonding again and becoming friendlier with each other. She's like, huh, good one, Bobby.
Back at Mojo's place, he's about to kill Angel, or thinking about it, and Angel just goes, "Please, I haven't kissed a girl yet."
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, that is like a teenage boy thing to say. Like one of your last things just being like, I haven't even kissed a girl yet.
It's a man, I think, considering who he gets together with at the end of this. Spoilers.
Yeah. I mean,
So
yeah. He is one of the junior members of the team, I think, but
I think it has
still.
more to do with how long they've been on the team, because Bobby is definitely younger than him, and he's ahead of him in rank.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
So
but
luckily, Angel is saved at the last second because Nightcrawler teleports Longshot and Dazzler in. Colossus was not able to make the port. Colossus was left way behind. Like apparently Nightcrawler wasn't strong enough to teleport all of them. And
yeah,
Nightcrawler also just passes out immediately as soon as they get in there. He's like, I'm so tired, man.
if you have like a chance, something that increases your chances, and it's 1 in a million, there's only so much you can increase it by, and it still sucks.
Yeah, I'm like, this is the best they could do. And at least it's something. Like 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Uh huh.
3 out of 4, really. Longshot also like goes in immediately for the attack. He's like, Dazzler, save Angel. I'm gonna hold off these flat scans or something. And Dazzler's like, flat scans? Like I've never even heard this term before. And for those of you who don't know, flat scan being the term that mutants in X-Men comics will often use to talk about just humans that are non-mutants. That's like their slur for humans, I
Is it
guess you
because
could
like when
say.
you scan them for like the X gene, it's just flat? Is it
I guess
that?
so, yeah. I think
Yeah,
that's it.
I guess they're right. Yeah.
Yeah. But a fight breaks out, and Mojo gets a hold of Longshot, and then it cuts in and out between that and also Spiral revealing to Jean the backstory behind Longshot and what happened with Lord Shield, because Spiral reveals that she and Longshot were actually in love and they were in a relationship.
But she was cheated. She was cheated on him with Lord Spiel, or Spiel or whatever.
Yeah, because Longshot was apparently inattentive and neglectful, and one day Lord Shield like stumbled into like the mutant underground bar that they would hang out at because he was curious about mutant kind. And so Spiral and Lord Shield had an affair, even though Lord Shield had like a family, like a wife and kids, and Spiral was with Longshot. And then Jean's kind of judging her, but I think it's really funny that Spiral like calls her out and she's like, listen, you're telling me your heart has never belonged to two men at the same time? And Jean's like, I'm like, yeah, getting some serious love triangle flashbacks, huh?
Yeah. But it's also weird because I'm like, Spire, are you implying everyone has like two people in their lives?
Well, she just picked the right person to call out. I mean,
Yeah.
listen, I think we've all like been in moments like that where we might have been torn between a couple of people.
Not me.
Well,
Are you
you're
like you've been torn between multiple people?
I mean, once upon a time,
Uh huh.
long, long time ago. We cut back to the fight between Dazzler and Mojo and Longshot and everyone. Dazzler uses her power to knock out Mojo by shooting her like light blasts onto the actual like lights above the ceiling that like fall down upon him and knock him out. And then Mojo's major domo threatens
Thank you.
Warren by holding a gun to him, but then Longshot puts his foot on Mojo and threatens to kill him. And then when the major domo is like, no, no, don't kill him, please, Longshot just beats him up after he surrenders and gets really intense. He's like, how does it feel to be treated like human scum? Just another sign that like something's off about this guy,
You
actually.
subhuman flat scan is what he says, I think, afterwards
Yeah.
too.
And they're like, whoa,
Longshot's a bit of
whoa.
a racist.
Yeah. We find out that Longshot is not everything he appears to be, which is a really fun twist on things. But Colossus finally arrives too, and he crashes through the wall. And it's so funny because Dazzler calls him the
The
Kool-Aid
Kool-Aid
Man.
Man? Oh yeah.
Yeah. That big Russian Kool-Aid Man made of metal.
Oh yeah.
So then Spiral at the end of this flashback reveals that Longshot caught her with Lord Shield and was like, what are you doing with this flat scan? And literally like murders Shield in cold blood, even though Lord Shield was on the side of mutants and the mutant cause. And she was like, no, please. But he kills him anyways.
Yeah. Well, he did find him sleeping with his girl, you know? Not saying it's
Yeah,
okay. I'm just saying it's understandable.
I mean, I understand why he was mad, but it feels like he was more mad because it was a human than
Oh,
anything else.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I will say, is Lord Shield, Spiral, so half the characters in this arc have become horn dogs.
Yeah. I mean, it's X-Men. They're all horny. That's
They
the whole
shouldn't
thing.
be.
Well, you shouldn't be reading X-Men if you feel that way.
Okay.
We've broken him, everyone.
Uh-huh. No, 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 no.
Anyways, that's what he says when he doesn't know what to say. But
Uh-huh.
then Spiral's like, yeah, I moved Lord Shield so no one would know about the affair. She was like, Longshot deserves whatever happens to him after everything he's done, which is really funny because then they cut to the rest of the X-Men setting Longshot free on Krakoa and letting him take a boat and sail away, blissfully ignorant that he was actually the culprit the whole time. The guy that they were trying to clear his name for a crime that they think he didn't commit. It's like, no, he actually committed that crime. He actually murdered the guy.
And it's funny because they also go, "You're free. You're welcome to our place whenever you want."
Yeah,
And
it's
then
like
the
you always have
next,
a home with us.
and then the next thing is Professor X goes, "You guys let loose a dangerous murderer into the world
Yeah.
with powers."
And they're like, listen, maybe something was messed up with Spiral's memory. Maybe that wasn't true. And then Jean's like, nope, nope, that was all checked out. Resident telepath here. That was all real. Like Longshot conned you. He was like Ted Bundy because he was so charming and is charismatic and like swayed you to his side, but he was the murderer the whole time. So everyone who let Longshot go, Colossus, Dazzler, Angel, Nightcrawler, they're all suspended from active duty for the rest of the semester. And Professor X is like, hey, whoever planned this whole thing, come forward because you're going to get expelled. And so we're like, oh shit, Dazzler's getting canned.
Yeah, and he says, "And don't bother lying because I'm gonna read your minds anyway if you don't come forward soon."
Yeah. And actually Angel comes forward and says this was all my idea and he takes the blame. And luckily Professor X goes easy on him because he's like, listen, you're going through enough having to go through like rehab and physical therapy for your wings being damaged. So being suspended and having to go through this whole thing, that's punishment enough. So you're still allowed to stay at the school.
I also just feel he's like, "Oh, Angel, you're just good looking and innocent. Yeah, I'll go easy on you because you're you."
Yeah, he's like, my little Twinkie boy, like
Yeah.
you get to
Okay,
stay.
Angel in this arc is not twink. He is massive. He is
Yeah, he's
yoked.
buff. Yeah.
He is like yoked even than in his other passages. He's like the Rock with wings and white and blonde.
Yeah.
He's like a.
I
It's
wouldn't
like
go that far.
no, but he's like massive. I'm like, you have hollow bones. Like, how do you fly? Are you just like P90Xing every single day?
That's his little secret. It's all that flying, man.
Yeah.
It's good for the core, good for the
Uh,
biceps.
when we went to the same college, I took kids off every year to this like zoo for a work thing, and they used to have a pig that would swim for the kids, but they got rid of that pig because it would swim so often it would get buff, and they have to throw it out and get a new pig who would swim for the kids, and then by swimming so much would get buff and couldn't swim anymore because the muscles are
Damn.
so dense. So maybe it is him just flying around.
That's a crazy story. Maybe it is. I don't know. But then, yeah, after they're all leaving, Dazzler's like, hey, why did you protect me? And Warren's like, well, Professor X was just looking for a reason to get rid of you, so he would have expelled you for sure.
Yeah, yes, it was her
And
fault.
yeah, and he's like, and also you need this place a lot more than I do, so I had to protect you.
Yeah,
And she kisses him, and it's a very sweet, like cute moment between the two of them. Like I'm like, oh, I didn't expect this relationship to happen, but that's
yeah.
nice.
And then she goes, "What can I say? I love bad boys. Now let's go polish your halo." And she starts
Yeah,
grabbing him and dragging him, meaning they're probably gonna horn dog it out. So
yeah, no, that's for sure. There are a lot of horn dogs in this arc now that you mention it.
everyone's like, yeah, exactly. Everyone's horn dogging except Angel.
Yeah, and Nightcrawler even talks about this too because he's like, "Wow, everyone's paired off now." And then you see like Kitty and Iceman cuddling on the couch in front of the TV, like they're
Uh-huh.
getting all chummy. And then of course Scott and Jean, and now Angel and Dazzler. And Nightcrawler is talking to Colossus, and he's like, "Yeah, it's just the two of us. I guess we still have to find a couple of lucky women." And Colossus is like looking on because we all know now he's gay. Like, there's no
Yeah,
hiding it. He
yeah.
hasn't told anyone else, but yeah, He's
Maybe
definitely gay.
I don't remember what happens to Ultimate Colossus, but I'm hoping he finds a good boy later
Hopefully.
on. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope he finds love.
I have been like Nightcrawler before. I like at a few points, including college, I was like, "Oh man, we're the only single dudes guys here left, right?" And he goes like, "No, it's just you." He's like, "My girlfriend's in Houston or like Canada," and I'm like, "What?"
Oh, so she wasn't real.
Actually, I found out she was real because she moved back down.
Oh, okay. I thought this guy
Yeah.
was just trying to make you feel bad. Oh, but then Cyclops is with Jean and Professor X, and he's apologizing to Professor X because they really needed a win, and this didn't turn out like they thought. But Professor X is like, hey, first and foremost, this is a school, so anytime that you learn from your mistakes, that is a victory. And he's
Yeah.
also like, yeah, you also helped relocate Spiral
To
from
Brooklyn.
Genosha to Brooklyn, and you also shut Mojo down for good and his show, so that's a win. And there's just a bit of final musing, just a commentary on reality TV at the end, just because
Yeah.
this is the 2000s. And Gene's like, yeah, isn't it like scary that like Mojo was kind of right? That like Longshot was the killer the whole time? And then Professor X is like, yeah, it's terrifying. Reality TV, it doesn't just show the worst of humans and mutants, but it just shows us as we are. I'm like, I guess that it was the timely commentary on reality TV and
Yeah.
how it did show like a lot of bad sides of people, and maybe it just shows how people are. At the same time, I think now we know a lot of it is very scripted.
Yeah.
Like a good chunk of it is not actual reality.
And I think the big thing that we got, the one big legacy I feel we got on reality TV, the president, is mostly because he reflected like not who he really was, but like an idealized version of him. So
Yeah.
the legacy of reality TV is it did the opposite. Turns out it's not realistic
Yeah.
at all.
It's not reality. Yeah. It falls flat at the
Yeah,
end, but
very flat.
yeah, but that's it for this storyline. Do you have
Yeah.
any final thoughts, Josh?
No, I really like this. I was surprised by it's going a very 616 direction. We're actually getting like actual like the characters but reimagined.
Mhm.
Like kind of like Ultimate Fantastic Four. Characters are all becoming horn dogs again.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, everyone's getting paired off.
Yeah,
Everyone's hooking up with everybody.
just like real life, everyone else seems to be getting married, and I'm like, I'm here with a dog named Boring.
Well, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
So, it's pretty fun. I like how this is also an arc that just doesn't even feature Wolverine at all, which is rare. I'm like, all
Yeah,
right, good. Let's focus on other characters for a change. As much as I love Wolverine and he's my favorite X-Man, it's nice to get a break for a bit and be like, hey, let's focus on other characters. And I don't know, I thought it was so interesting, this subversion of expectations at the end. I love Longshot in the main universe, and I was so on his side, and I was so sure he was innocent. And the twist ending that like, oh no, Longshot actually did kill this guy at the end. I was like, that's crazy.
but like we're not upset at him for killing the guy. Let's be fair though.
Well, I don't know. I feel like it actually shows things as more complicated than they seemed at the beginning, because this guy, Lord Shield, as opposed to some figures in real life, this guy was actually on mutant's side and was like getting closer to the mutant cause of things, and who
Oh, he
knows
was
what he
getting
might have
close to a
done.
mutant, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. But yeah, Longshot seemed to just be like a fanatic and a radical at the end of the day. And that was very different than what we thought he was. He was actually the murderer, and he was actually lying at the end of the
Yeah,
day to the other X-Men. I was like, damn. And it's funny because knowing Longshot and how likable and good he is, especially in the main comics, it was a good subversion of expectations and a good twist and just a good show like, hey, sometimes these things are more complicated than they seem. It wasn't as clear cut as like a mutant being framed. Yeah, it's awful that a mutant was being hunted on reality TV for sport, but also like, oh, he did kill the guy after all. He was
it's
the murderer the whole time.
it's like kind of those things where you go like, oh, a guy's gonna get executed for like something horrible, and you go like, I don't want to be executed, but he was a horrible guy, and you don't want to seem bad for saying I don't think he needs to be killed. You know?
Yeah, no, exactly. So it was so fascinating how that all turned out. I thought it was a really well crafted story. And I
Yeah,
liked how they split up the X-Men into two different teams, like one on Genosha and one on Krakoa, and
yeah,
how that gave everyone space and time to shine in different moments of the story and to fulfill different roles as it was needed.
yeah.
And yeah, just the dual purposes being played there. So that was really cool. Yeah. Any other thoughts, Josh?
No, I think you've actually said it perfectly. So,
Well, thank you. Thank you. I do my best.
uh-huh.
But in the meantime, until next time, we'll get back to the rest of these issues. We'll talk about Ultimate X-Men 58 through 60. Until then, Josh, where can our listeners reach out to us and get in touch with us if they want to share any thoughts about the comics we read, our show, or anything else comics related as well?
It is Ultimate Comics Podcast at gmail.com. Remember, that's comics plural, podcast singular. So, Ultimate Comics Podcast at gmail.com.
That's right. If that's too old fashioned for you and you don't want to take the time to shoot us a little email, you can also contact us on Instagram or TikTok, where we share reels/TikToks from the show. Also on Instagram, we post images from the comics we read. And also, you can find full episodes with video on YouTube, all at Ultimate Comics Podcast. Or you can just listen on Spotify, like you're likely doing now, or Apple Podcasts, or wherever.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks so much for listening, everyone. Until next time, take care and make mine Ultimate Marvel. Bye bye.